deep explanation of what you need to do for this evaluation, the carbon footprint, and you basically need to create a plan to reduce your emissions of greenhouse gases. Like you've seen in the material that I posted on the Google Classroom, there are a lot of sources in our daily activities that produce these greenhouse gases. There are, they damage the environment and they add up to the climate change. So basically what I want you to do is to measure your carbon footprint and create a plan to reduce that emission of your carbon footprint, okay? So it's very important that you keep certain things in mind when creating this plan. First of all, you need to be reasonable. You need to set a goal in an amount of time that you believe that you can actually achieve. Don't set up for things that you're not going to be able to do. Then you're going to think about how this impacts the environment, how your carbon footprint impacts the environment, and how will this reduction impact the environment. Think about the consequences of your actions, okay? Evaluate your progress. When you're doing a plan, you need to keep in mind that at certain points, you should be measuring your progress. For example, if you're talking about reducing these emissions in a period of a month, then evaluate your progress weekly. Every week, evaluate if your carbon footprint has been reduced or it's increased. Put yourself a time frame, okay? Establish starting when and when you're going to finish. It's super important for a plan because it actually gives you, the pressure of accomplish a goal or the objective that you already proposed at the beginning. Think about this objective or this final goal, how it's beneficial for you, for your family, for your environment, for the planet. What are the general benefits of this goal that you're proposing, okay? So now we're going to go to the description of an action plan. And before we start with the action plan, there's a couple of things that you need to ask yourself. And we're going to call this key questions. So the first key question that you're going to do to yourself, it's why you should reduce your greenhouse emissions, okay? You're going to respond to that questions and you're going to establish the impact of that decision, okay? It could be more than one key question. In this case, is like an example. This is a general question. This is actually the objective of this evaluation, that you have the time to think why you think you should do this. Okay? Once that you have determined that, we're going to start talking about the emissions, the source, the data, and any extra information that you have. When we're talking about the emission, it's where the greenhouse gases come. In this case, we're talking about electricity, electrical power, the source, what items in the house create this greenhouse emission, and the data will be the amount of the emission. It could be the amount of electricity spent in your house, the amount of money that you pay for the electricity in your house. Remember that in the websites, you can do it with both data. And in the notes, you can put if it's a direct emission or an indirect emission. Once you have determined all of the emissions in your house and the sources of those emissions, we are going to go with this specific information. You have it here, the type of emission, direct and indirect, the source of that emission, and the potential actions to do to reduce that emission, okay? So now we're going to put all of this information in a full table, starting with the emission, the amount of the emission, your possible action, the daily or weekly activities that you're going to do to reduce this emission, and your final goal. How much do you want to reduce that emission? This final table should have all the emissions in your house and all of your activities and all your goals for that emission, okay? To establish the goal, it could be reducing, I'm giving you an example here, it could be reducing 70%, 75% of those emissions in a period of a month, starting May 30 and finishing in June 30 of 2020, okay? That is going to be your time frame and your final goal. That is your final goal. That is what you want to achieve. So we can do baby steps to get here. So we're going to start with the initial measurements in the first table that I give you. That was the emission, the source, the data, and any extra nodes. In those extra nodes, you're going to put if it's direct or indirect emission, okay? And after that table, you're going to put your action plan. It was the second table that I showed you. It's the emission, the amount of the emission, the possible action, your daily, weekly activities, and your final goal, okay? Once you have these two tables down, you're going to give me a step-by-step of the activities that you're going to use. Like, for example, Monday 1st, I am going to change the light bulbs of my house. Tuesday the 2nd, I am going to not use my computer. That's what I want you to do on the step-by-step. You're going to determine the daily or weekly activities that you're going to do for each one of those emissions. And once you're done with all of that, you're going to present your conclusions. Obviously, by the time that you're going to deliver the paper, you're not going to have time to check your final results or your progress. I just hope that you do this on a conscious way, and at the end of June or July or your time frame that you establish for your action plan, you actually can check if you did or not reduce your greenhouse emissions, okay? So for the conclusions, you're going to explain what your real expectations are with this plan. If you think that you're going to be able to accomplish your goal, if you think that your family is going to support you, if you're going to be able to create a plan that is actually longer in time, that you cannot just do for a month, but you can actually make it into a lifestyle. You're willing to change your lifestyle to reduce the greenhouse emissions. And I want you that in your own words, explain me what impact you think this will have if everybody decides to do the same thing. What do you think it could change in the world if we all change our lifestyles? So I really, really want you to remember that I want you to be realistic with your goal and with your action plan. I want you to plan activities that you can actually do. I want you to be very specific with the amount of your emissions. And I want you to make sure that you're considering several options, several possible actions for every one of those emissions. Don't stay with just one thing. Keep your mind open and make sure that you're considering everything around you, okay? Either way, this is going to be in the Google Classroom, so you can access anytime. And remember that if you have any questions, you can contact me through the Hangouts or email, and I'll be more than glad to clarify anything. See you guys.